kind of get it already from what I've been talking about, but adaptive innovation is the part that's about the work. And I'll tell you a few stories today, but compared to my other keynotes and the other modules, this is going to be more tactical, walking you through some of the exact steps that you would do to fine-tune your idea. Adaptive innovation is about ideas, testing, thinking, pushing, and pushing. And it's different from hunting opportunity. So if you missed the last section, you'll probably want to recap that to figure out how to find the opportunity. Here's where you have that opportunity, and now it's time to focus in. Now it's time to start iterating as many concept ideas as possible. The trap, the warning though, is that we have so many inherent bias, so many things that are traps that block us from thinking expansively, and so we do tend to gravitate towards things we've done or seen before. Today, I'll walk you through some of the different methods that help get you a little bit further to those outlier ideas so that you can extract better thinking from yourself and from your team. If you know you're trying to extract better thinking from your brain, what you're effectively trying to get at, the key takeaway would be you're trying to take your problem and then look at your problem from multiple perspectives. The philosophy is that just sitting down and brainstorming will cause you to repeat the steps you've done before and think about the way things have been done in the past. But if we're truly in a period of chaos, then you need to think about how different people, different brands, different perspectives, different industries might approach the problem or the consumer that you're trying to interact with. And so we'll walk through a number of takeaways that get you there. The last warning, though, before we dive in, is that the concepts that I'm talking about are for periods of chaos and change, but they're not for periods of crisis. And at the time I'm recording this, we're still deep in our working from home period. And for those that missed my session that was at the very beginning, there's a difference between normal path dependency and how things work, being in a period of crisis, being in a period of chaos, and then recharting your path to something new. What we're talking about is not exactly crisis. Use crisis to motivate yourself to prepare, but what I'm going to be doing today is giving you more tools to equip yourself for the time periods when we get back. And the reason why I want to differentiate that is that right now there's a trap people fall into, which is to look very carefully at what your consumer is doing, to assume that we're going to be in this period of COVID-19 forever. But in my life, in my parents' life, in my grandparents' life, there hasn't been a global pandemic to this scale. It's just not going to be forever. You know, famous last words, I get it, but I mean the problem is we tend to extrapolate a crisis scenario and then we read too much into our consumers. And during a period of crisis, our consumer needs are changing by the minute. During a crisis, consumer needs are effectively erased, and you can't really survey your consumer because right now, you don't know what we want anymore. We're kind of in a Maslow hierarchy of needs situation where we're trying to look after our physiological needs, our family's safety, and some of these lower elements than the products or services that will suit our needs. So what we're doing today is preparing your skill set for what's next, for the world you'll encounter and want to win at in 2021 and beyond. Summing up my warning section then, before we get into it, I might ask you in a quick little workshop, what are some of the traps that are going to block you from thinking creatively, that are the distractions in your mind right now that you're thinking about in a period of let's say, COVID or working from home? And then, knowing that the world will change and evolve, what do you think are some of the existing core products or services that your organization is clinging to? What are the paths that you believe your organization might be stuck on? And understanding those can frame a lot of the perception before you go into brainstormings and iteration with your actual teams. Tactics generally then are that we're trying to get in a mind frame to push harder, to put in the work, to think beyond the period of crisis, and to look at problems from multiple perspectives, noting that chaos switches the rules, reshuffles the deck, and so we're trying to get ourselves in a nimble mode to be better at adapting quickly. And that wraps up our module. See you in the next lesson.